end, so I don't really know if it's going through or not.
Yeah, it's working.
Alright, I think we're live. What's going on? So it's Maverick here, and welcome to the Developer Hangout with Nodunit and Franze, the creators of the really
Hi.
awesome AH-64D Apache Longbow add-on for ARMA 2. Welcome, guys.
Hey, glad to be here.
Please, viewers here on Twitch, let me know if you got the audio levels right. So if you hear those two guys, because quite frankly, it's the first time we're doing this here, and I'm not sure if you're able to hear them over TeamSpeak. So just give me a quick shout out in the comment section, and yeah, after that
Oh man,
we can kick off with the questions.
those old shadows are so awful.
Yeah, I'm having trouble following it entirely, but I'll stumble through it anyways.
Roger that.
If he has too much trouble, I'll just Skype him the message.
Copy that. Once more, guys, please, dear viewers, let me know in the comment section if you hear Nodunit and Franze all right or not.
Ooh, 9 viewers. I was expecting maybe 5 at most.
We'll see if the view count goes up. It might.
Ah, not really expecting a huge turnout. I think most people are busy playing Arma 3 or griping on the Arma 3 forums or just not all that interested. Like, who do these guys think they are? So important now they got their own interview or something.
Running out of fuel.
Okay. Well, it is important to me, and I'm really glad you guys were able to join and agreed to this little project. Apparently, everyone can hear you all right, so I guess we're going to kick off. First of all, thanks a lot for creating this add-on. I've made a few videos on it, and already one or two live streams. Not Unity, we were like joining me and watching the Twitch feed, and you helped me out during the gameplay because yeah, the whole thing is not like a standard add-on for Arma 2. It's really an extended one, and it's incredible what kind of work you guys put into this. And I'm really excited to learn more
Rockets.
about the whole process and yeah, how you guys came up with this. So I'm just gonna fire out with the first question, and this will be please tell us a little bit about the add-on. You know, what is it, and what can you do with it?
Well, I guess we'd really have to start at the beginning for it because it was really almost about 10 years ago that I first started building the Apache, but that was for the original game, Operation Flashpoint. And I'd always been enamored with Longbow 2 and Longbow 1 and a lot of the simulations of the 90s. And, well, we were never going to get a sequel to those games because, there just wasn't any money in them anymore. So I kind of set out to try and see what I could do on my own using, at the time, the relatively freshly released Operation Flashpoint modding tools. So it was kind of, wasn't very good at the start, but it kind of evolved as time went on.
Roger that. I've been playing the series ever since Flashpoint as well. I haven't ever tried anything like modding, you know, but I can imagine that back then, even though there were options for modding, they were not as extended as they're right now. And apparently, yeah, this idea started a long time ago because Flashpoint was released in two
2001.
yeah 2001. That's a long time ago. All right, thanks a lot.
So yeah, it was at the time I really didn't have a whole lot of experience. I mean, I played with some other games like some Half-Life. I've tried some tools in there, but it wasn't until the relatively open nature of the Flashpoint modding tools that I was able really to make something that worked out. And so basically, it was all, like I said, all about that, trying to capture the essence of the original Longbow games, a lot of simulations of the 90s, and trying to put those elements into Flashpoint. Well, things kind of stagnated for a while, but eventually
Be
we
advised. Out
kind
of
of,
fuel.
it took about 2 years before we made the initial release for Flashpoint. And during that
But
time period, we kind of did a lot of learning of our own, kind of
Magazine.
stumbling about here and there because neither of us really knew a whole lot about this
Magazine.
stuff at the time. So we kind of built up skills here and there and made something that worked. And I think for the original
Magazine.
Flashpoint, it was pretty good. But despite all that, we didn't really get all the things we
Rockets.
really wanted to do, things like the moving map displays or proper Hellfire operation.
Rockets.
But now we have a lot more
Rockets. Magazine.
capacity to do that in ARMA 2 with all the new commands and new scriptings. We were able to capture a lot of those things that we were never really able to fully realize in Flashpoint.
Yeah, just because the features were not available back then. Yeah.
no, back then the digital displays had to be rotated, I believe it was.
Okay.
Yeah, for the original add-on in Flashpoint, all the pages for the multi-purpose displays, those were all rotated through an animation switch. They were not nearly as complex as we've got for ARMA 2.
Okay. Yeah, Roger. All right. Thanks a lot for this quick blast from the blast from the past. Yeah, I've never played like those longbow games. I guess yeah, I was almost too young. Operation Flashpoint was like released when I was 16 years old, and it was like the first game for me that I was allowed to play, by my parents that had anything to do with shooting guys and stuff. But yeah, Flashpoint was a great thing, and I'm glad you guys picked up from there and released this add-on right now. So I guess you all
Problems with the stream.
there are.
Yeah, they're saying they can't. Volume is faded.
All right, is it better now? I hope so. Yeah, it's still like that.
Thank you, Gerald Boso. Jared Boy Boso. People always picking these difficult to pronounce names.
Yeah, I hope it's better now. Um, yeah, I guess you already answered my second question, which was when did you decide to create this add-on for Arma 2? So basically, as you mentioned before, the inspiration came with those longbow games a long time ago, and then you started off with Operation Flashpoint, but finally now you were able to realize it with the platform that is Arma 2.
Yes
Be
and no.
advised. Out of
In
fuel.
truth, the thing that sort of really kick-started the longbow for Arma 2 was his add-on from Arma 1 and SU-17.
Okay, I'm not sure what that is. Can you explain really quick?
Do you want to do his friends, or should I?
Yeah, sure.
He made a jet fighter with the fly to waypoint navigation and more advanced weapons systems, and this really got me interested because at this point, until I hadn't really collaborated and done anything with him. In fact, the Operation Flashpoint bird I came in very late on and only did minor texture changes, if anything. And the stream appears to be saying that they still can't hear anything. They can only hear you.
Okay, which is weird. I haven't changed anything. Can you guys hear Franz and Nodunit now, or still now?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't.
kind of just guessing through this myself because I, I can hear you guys. It's a problem I hearing. I can hear you guys, but I can't really understand you. So I'll just kind of sit here and wait until I hear something really specific.
I can hear you on the stream.
Magazine.
Oh, I guess that's because I'm better than
Magazine.
you are. Okay.
Magazine. Rockets. 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 Magazine.
yeah. Almost true and everything.
Okay.
Okay, I can hear us both in the stream, so I'm guessing things are better. They just mentioned the Operation Flashpoint box, so...
Yeah, turn up the volume a bit on the stream, so I hope it should be better now. Problem is, I have now I hear all the things now as well, so I can barely understand you guys on TeamSpeak. So we have to struggle with some technical issues here. But yeah, I think I'm gonna be able to make it. Yeah, let's move
You
on.
can do it.
Let's move on with the next questions. Um, which will be, was this your first add-on or have you already had previous experience? So as you just mentioned, you already made a fighter chat add-on for Arma 2, for Arma 1, right?
It also got ported to ARMA 2.
Okay, so this will be, the Apache will be like your second piece of work.
For Franz, it would be his officially released. Let's see, there was the Operation Flashpoint Apache, the SU-17 in ARMA, the F-18 in Operation Flashpoint, and again ARMA 1, then the SU-17 in ARMA 2. Mm, I
Okay, so
think
you got some experience then.
he does. This was actually the first time I chipped in a lot.
Yeah, you did the textures for him on that chat,
Nope,
and
I only did the textures on the Apache in Operation Flashpoint
oh,
afterwards later in, and that was kind of nothing compared to today, which is still kind of shit, but, you know. I'm sorry, I hope your stream's not family friendly.
that's not a problem. It's the internet, you can say anything here. All right. Um,
Okay, yeah, it's... Hey, France, are you still there?
Roger that. I'm following, kind of stumbling through it, I guess.
Oh, are you just being quiet, or
Say again?
are you mostly being quiet, or...
I'm mostly being quiet here because like I said, I'm kind of not really sure whether or not I should step in or whether or not those are just little voices in my head or not. So I'm trying to be quiet unless I think somebody really said something nasty to me or something like that.
okay. Yeah, we're just gonna move on to question 5. Franz, you can read it down in the chat on TeamSpeak if you have problems hearing me. It's about like how long did it take you guys from like the first step of the this add-on version for Arma 2, you know, the whole development process until the release for the public about 2 weeks ago.
Well, that would have probably been approximately 3 years, give or take a couple months. Nodunit had already built the model in like summer of 2010, I believe it was. I think he had really been working on it prior to that, but we didn't actually try bringing it into the game until about the fall timeframe of 2010. So the total time that you see was version one to the very start was about 3 years. And even then, like we've probably mentioned many times, it was really kind of a pressing release. We weren't really quite ready. You know, there were some real nagging issues, but we kind of made a promise and we decided we better, get it out there.
All right. So it was
Yeah,
a long
definitely.
process.
A10. A10C, perhaps. I want A10A. Sorry, someone said something in the stream.
About A10 or what?
A guy asked, well, made a statement in the stream. He said that we should make an A10 add-on. Digital. Digital only.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Okay, moving on. Next questions. Yeah, are you like fully happy with the release version, or have you like come across some problems you were not able to solve? You know, some like limitations with the Arma 2 engine. So did you have to throw overboard some ideas you would have wanted to realize with this add-on, or have you been able to accomplish all your tasks?
Well, for the most part, we've been able to. accomplish most everything we wanted to do. Um, yeah, of course, there are a few things that
Magazine.
we can't really do, like the
Magazine.
whole picture-in-picture. We don't really have a page in place for viewing, the TADS camera or the PNVS camera. But those are just
Aye.
some of the more larger issues. They're annoying, but they don't really detract from the overall experience. So I wouldn't really call it unsolvable. Just we had to take things on in a different way.
All right, yeah. I mean, it's already incredible how detailed everything is, just like inside the cockpit, all the functions, but also the model itself. If you look at it from outside, if you're like if you have it parked somewhere and you move your joystick or your controls, you can actually see how all the mechanics on the rotor work, and that's just amazing.
Yeah, and I was glad you pointed that out because that was one of the starting features, in fact.
Yeah, I think I've seen like a not really a promo video, but you uploaded something about maybe a year ago or so, where you showed off some of those features, also the whole the rearming or just the arming system, and that was like the first time I ever heard
Target that
of
truck
your
at
add-on, and
one
I've been
two.
waiting for it ever since.
Yeah, they were on France's channel.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's possible. Yeah, I can't remember which ones it was. I think someone posted something on the BIS forums or Armaholic. That's how I got interested in the whole thing. So
Ah,
basically,
sweet.
a few things. Um, yeah, are not like 100% how you planned it, but uh, yeah, after all, you're pretty much entirely happy, huh? So I can understand that because, as mentioned before, it's just incredible what you guys did there and how much features you built into it.
On my side, I can definitely say I'm not entirely happy with the textures and the shadows are at the moment, but I plan on fixing that in the upcoming updates.
All right. Yeah, that just leads me to the next questions. To the next question. What kind of updates, patches are planned, or do you have even additional add-ons or like vehicles, uh, in the works? I think I read in either on the forums or in your online manual that you also are working on an AH-64A model. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We originally
No
planned
target.
to make a much larger release. This kind of goes back to the older questions. Originally, we were going to have a much more expansive add-on. We had planned to do things like add a couple of additional maps and some more larger, possibly more dynamic campaigns. But around the time of last year, we kind of looked at that and realized,
Target that truck
if
at one
we do
two.
all this, it's going to take us a lot longer and we won't really be
Fire.
able to accomplish everything we wanted to with just phased aircraft. So we ended up kind of trimming a lot of that off. But despite that, there's still a lot of things that did get in, like the Alpha model Apache is in there. We actually had two planned variations of that, and also a Delta model, Block 3, which is now the Echo model, which has a lot more stuff to it.
No target.
And if things permit, we'd like to certainly like to update and get those versions out there.
Yep, with the common missile warning system and updated flight page possibly and all the other gizmos that come with it. UAV control.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
Magazine.
Yeah, so you
Rockets.
were really like towards the end, you had to really focus on the aircraft, and yeah, as you said, you had to
Rockets.
throw
Rockets.
some stuff
Magazine.
overboard. But even then, you did not just release the add-on; it released really
Target that unknown at one
extended and
two.
awesome
Enemy
online
APC
manual,
12 o'clock. One
as well
o'clock.
as some really outstanding tutorial missions
Target
that
that
you
truck
can
at
play,
one two.
and the campaign. But I kind of got stuck on the first mission there. I haven't played through it. So that's already like a pretty huge package. Next, oh, that sounds kind of nasty.
Well,
You know what I mean? So it's a lot of content
Magazine.
next or yeah besides
Magazine.
the actual aircraft.
Fire.
So it's definitely um, yeah it's a lot of content to play already. But releasing some additional like
Magazine.
large-scale maps, that will be awesome. But I guess most people are more or would be more excited about additional Apache versions, or as we can already read in the comments, maybe an A10 with all those features,
Rockets.
you know, with the multi-purpose displays and things like that. But I'm looking forward to the next updates, definitely.
All the clickies and the button presses.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have to admit, I had no hand whatsoever in the campaigns and the training missions. That was all Franz and a buddy of his, Hellcat.
All right. Okay, next
So if you have
questions.
any trouble in one of those missions piss you off,
Rockets. Rockets.
pipe at
Magazine. 2. Free to engage.
All right, moving on to the next question. Um, I'm pretty sure you got a lot of feedback, maybe on the BI's forums, Armaholic. Um, Also, what I've seen on the videos I uploaded, Nodunit, you were very active as a poster there, and you like yeah, chatted with the viewers and responded to their questions. So I'm pretty sure the feedback was mostly positive. Have you any idea how many people downloaded your add-on, or is everyone playing Arma 3 now?
well, our thread, I've been watching it, and I've
Manual
noticed it's
fire.
grown about 1 to 2,000 hits, views every other week, or day, in fact. When we first released our add-on, I believe the first day it managed to topple 8,000 views, if not more, which was, needless to say, quite a shock.
All right, outstanding, yeah. I mean, I can understand it because, um, yeah, I guess a lot of people knew about it, knew that something is in the works, but I didn't know when it was going to be released. So I'm pretty sure the excitement was, yeah, was like rather huge when it came out. So did you get a lot of feedback also on BS forums and all that, or just like
Oh
the
yeah,
clicks and downloads?
3 weeks in, we're already up to 22 pages.
Oh my
When we
god.
were in our discussion thread, we managed to get almost 140 some odd pages. So yeah, I imagine there were quite a few people waiting, thinking, when's this gonna release? These guys keep posting these pictures. Count Jesus. And then finally releasing it, thinking, about time.
All right. Yeah, I guess that's cool, and for you guys, it shows that it was like really worth the effort. All right. Um, Next question. This is something probably everyone in the community is like really curious to know, and I'm sure you have been asked that question a million times. And this is
Number 3.
exactly. Do you consider porting this add-on over to Arma 3? You just messaged me, I think it was today, that the latest patch is like, yeah, has some more capabilities with Arma 3. I tested it. There are a few new really nice features, but it's not like entirely made for Arma 3, obviously. Do you plan
Oh
on
no.
keep on working on that?
I'll let Franz go first. Or Froms.
Well, we'd like to move it over to Arma 3. I mean, it's always been on the agenda, and originally a few months back
What?
it was looking like, a few months back we said, you know what, it'd be really, really nice. They say Arma 3 is going to have the take on helicopter model. It looks like, Arma 3 was where we're going to go. Well, then Bohemia Interactive decided, what, we're not going to have the helicopter flight manual from Take On Helicopters. We're not going to put that in Arma 3. We don't want it there, or we don't have the time or resources to put it there. And that was kind of a major letdown for our plans for Arma 3.
Kick
So
to the
I,
nuts.
I'd say at this moment, we'd really like it to work in Arma 3, but I think we're kind of sitting back, waiting for Arma 3 to mature, much like, Arma 2, when it first came out, it wasn't really fully matured either, and there was a lot of things that we'd taken advantage of the latest version of Arma 2 that in the original version, just weren't possible. So we're kind of hoping that Arma 3 will mature a lot more. It will get a lot of more features that we'll be able to take advantage of before we start getting into it.
All right.
And we'll
Yeah.
be paying attention to the script updates and what new commands are introduced and things like that. I already got my eyes set on a few of them.
All right. Yeah. I get your point because if you've been with ARMA 3 for the alpha beta stage, um, even just like with basic script stuff such as class names and whatever, they changed so many things and they messed up a lot of the community members' work. And I have no experience with add-on making, but I can
No
imagine that
target.
it's got to be really frustrating if you make something and you get it working and then like the whole engine and the core stuff gets changed and messes up your work. So I'm pretty sure it's maybe a better idea to yeah to let it mature a bit and uh, and try it later. But it's definitely planned.
I think one of the most significant things about ARMA 3 is that um, one of the like a major issue, for example, is the thermal camera. It has where when you first start out, it looks just fine, but then it sort of washes out and it's not very sensitive anymore. It doesn't really look right. And in a lot of cases, the infrared cameras are used for navigation. Like on the Apache, you'd think that pilot's night vision device would be like night vision goggle or camera like that. Well, no, it's actually just a very sensitive infrared sensor. Well, we can't really adjust or control that sensitivity. When you first go into it, it starts out fine and then washes out and you really can't see anything with it that's not extremely hot.
Sure. Yeah.
I've got a video on my YouTube demonstrating that exact thing, and you can even go into the pilot view in Armor 3 by pressing 0, and you'll see what we mean by this thermal view. It all just looks like a big green blob. Good luck seeing any terrain details.
So it will be impossible to navigate at nighttime using that view then.
Unfortunately so.
All right. Okay. So next questions. Yeah, it was already mentioned in the comments there on Twitch about the A10. So do you have plans for like a completely new add-on? Maybe at some point once the Apache is is 100% working as you want it to, and you've made your port over to Armor 3. So do you plan to maybe
Hint, hint.
to try to use those your knowledge, and maybe some of those features that we see in the Apache also on another aircraft? Yeah, maybe the A10 or so, or is that like too far away? Are you gonna focus really on the Apache now, then take a break for a few years?
Well, if we go
Cancel
at the
manual
current
fire.
rate, it would take us 3 years just to release something that's in a partially complete state like the Apache, and that's kind of a difficult schedule to work on. I mean, there's all kinds of projects we'd like to do. I mean, I've already started work on a OH-58D, but it's just, well, a little model and it has a little bit of features. It's nothing as extensive as the Apache. And a lot of the features, are practically add-ons upon themselves. Our entire a multi-purpose display
Rockets.
system, for example. Well, people in
Magazine.
the past have already
Magazine.
done things like that as a
Magazine.
completely separate add-on in its entirety. So
Something
just
like it.
incorporating all that into one add-on takes a lot of work and a lot of time. So even though we'd really love to do all that, the kind of
No
time frame
target.
that it would take to do a lot more than just one additional aircraft would be, incredible.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think it would take 3 years though, because a lot of that time taken was due to it gaining experience and other things.
I guess yeah. During this development phase, you have already learned a lot of stuff, and maybe you could use well, I guess you could use some
Rockets
knowledge,
ahead. One,
and you
two.
will be maybe faster. I don't want to rush you or anything. I'm just saying, I know how it is
Make
for me.
everything.
Yeah, you master
Target
it
check.
by
One,
just
two.
by learning and yeah, I know how it is for me, with video editing. It
Fire.
once you know like how to do it, the basic stuff, it goes a bit faster than it used
Target
to.
that truck at one, four.
And then
But
after doing it for a while, it becomes second nature.
Almost, yeah. Exactly.
Magazine.
Yeah, a lot of things
Rockets.
that we can use that we already did for the Apache, yeah, a lot of things hadn't really been done yet. So now that we have, or at least have a better idea of how to do something, it won't really take quite as long. But, things like the artwork and the model, that still takes a lot of time. That's probably the largest money pit in terms of time. And then, of course, you get a lot of, for the scripting side, you get a lot of strange things like you'll spend 12 hours trying to figure out why something isn't working right and find out it's just you forgot the semicolon at the end of the line or something simple like that.
Yeah, that's frustrating. I
So
know that from
much.
mission editing. That's insane. All right, yeah, I can fully understand the yeah what like the problem is. It's just like a major effort and a lot of time that you will have to put into it. And
Oh,
still, I'm
yes,
really yeah.
man. Got that awkward speaking thing going there.
Rockets.
Sorry about that.
Something wrong?
I was good. I did. No, no, I was trying to speak when you finished, but the feedback came in when you started speaking again, so I stopped to let you speak, and then we kind of went back and forth.
Yeah, I think we have a small delay of about a second.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we do take on other projects, no doubt we'll also want to try and take on specific characteristics of that particular aircraft and what makes it special, which means, yay, more time.
All right.
Because it never ends. We're always looking for more. It's an addiction, man.
But I hope you guys are still having
Magazine.
fun doing it.
I'd say that, for example, when I did the old project, the old
Magazine.
aircraft that came prior to the Apache,
Magazine.
it was the Su-17 fitter, and that aircraft was a major problems in terms of research because while there were a lot of information out there, it's very much a Russian aircraft, and there were some other things about it that made it kind of difficult to research. You could find a lot of examples of like Polish fitters that had modernized NATO grade
No
electronics,
target.
but when you're trying to future an aircraft that would have taken place prior to the fall of the Soviet Union, well, that information was a lot more difficult to come by. And you have all kinds of
Magazine.
additional circumstances like, for example, late in its
Rockets.
service life, it was a
Rockets.
tactical nuclear bomber,
Rockets.
so they
Magazine.
locked down a lot of information. So you add in a lot of other aircraft, well, a lot of them have similar issues. The information, well, it's not really in the public domain. They really don't want people knowing
Magazine.
about certain things.
Magazine.
Yeah, I guess some stuff is classified, and especially if you try to do something on a Russian aircraft, it might be even harder to gather information. This actually leads me to a question I skipped before
No target.
on purpose. No, not on purpose. And this is just like, how did you gather all the information for this Apache add-on? Has any of you worked with
Magazine.
those specific aircrafts before, or have
Rockets.
you guys some sort of contacts to maybe
Rockets.
real-life pilots or
Rockets.
mechanics or anything?
Magazine.
I don't think you can gather all the information just from the internet.
You'd be surprised. Well, no, not often, but
If you hack into
there's quite a
NORAD,
bit out there.
Well, a lot of the information we got from people that like the
915.
mechanics. We did have a couple pilots help us out, usually on other aircraft. So, because a lot of the nature, like on the Blackhawk, the engines are the same. I'm pretty sure the auxiliary power unit is the same. So you have like a similar startup process. And so some people were able to lend us a better idea of how things worked out and general point us, okay, yeah, that's how it works, or no, it doesn't really work that way, or these are the specifics. We had a lot of people that were, involved
Cancel
in
radio fire.
maintaining the aircraft that were able to give us a much better idea of, the technical detail functioning, which was a lot more helpful than some other things. But then a lot of information on the internet is out there, especially for an aircraft like the Apache, which is really quite popular with a lot of people. So information on it is a little bit more widespread than, some more obscure aircraft.
okay,
The
yeah.
MI-28.
5 o'clock. Enemy. Close.
Yeah, I've seen in your online manual the credit list is pretty long, so it's even though I'm just talking about you guys, and I guess your names are almost famous now within the community. You had a lot of guys helping you
No
out with,
target. No target.
yeah, with giving you information and what you just mentioned before, but also
2.
people help you
Get the
out with
machine gun.
scripting, I guess, with the whole creating,
Ceasefire. Fire.
creation of the tutorial mission campaign, and yeah, and all
Manual
that.
fire.
So, how many people were involved in the whole process, maybe?
Counting the outside help?
Exactly, yeah. So just a rough number.
Well, approximately, if we had to look at the total number of
No
people
target.
from outside, I'd say we'd probably had at least 20 people of, helping us out with one little thing here or there, like voices. For example, I expected that for our missions that we'd be waiting for a lot more voices than we really got. Instead, I got a whole deluge of people saying, I want to help out, I want to help out. So we were able to kind of get and pick and choose and say, okay, that person sounds right, or no, that person doesn't sound right, or asking this person they can change something. For voices, it was pretty straightforward. And then we had a whole bunch of other people like Nubernu. He created the whole clickable cockpit concept. He said, you can do it certain ways, certain ways. He kind of prodded us into getting it done right. So we owe
He
him
was
a lot
persistent.
for. And then a bunch of other things like General Barron's scripting that was kind of essential for a lot of other functions like get pitch, get bank, set pitch, set bank. You wouldn't think it, but those are very critical functions that his scripting, a long time ago, I asked him for permission because
9
that
o'clock.
was actually involved
100
with
meters.
the Fitter project. I got his permission to use the scripts all over again. And then you
Okay.
had a whole bunch of other people with testing, advising, and whatnot. So the list is quite long because even though me and Nodunit did the primary building of it, we really couldn't have done it without all the support from all these other people.
Roger
Yep,
that.
and as such, they deserve mention. We're not gonna pull a George Lucas and say, yeah, we did all that.
No, but it's great to hear that yeah, people were willing to help you out, and I think that's a good thing about the ARMA community. Um, you have really people spending a lot of time creating stuff, and if you guys were lucky that you even found some like outside people with real life experience to help you out. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really shocking how much help everyone wanted to land. I had people send me PMs after for the voice, and there's just some really great voices in our community, and it felt kind of bad to say, no, sorry, that's not what we're looking for. There was one guy who
No
offered to
target.
do the texturing, but
No target.
I didn't know anything about texturing, so I wanted to learn it, so I had to turn him away.
Mm. Yeah, I guess some stuff you want to do on your own, or you want to learn it on your own.
Yeah, here's friends over here doing all this wizardry with the scripts and whatnot, and I'm just kind of hanging on ankles. So I gotta
All right.
try and do something on par with him. Still
Okay.
working on that.
All right. So those were basically my questions. I think we're gonna move on to some viewer questions. I have three of a guy who posted me on Facebook today because he can't attend the live stream. I posted them in the TeamSpeak chat. It's gonna be somewhere a bit higher. And his name is Ali Al Shair, and he's asking, or maybe it's more of a statement. In his opinion, the iHeads is small, and he would like to see it bigger and more like the
Uh-huh.
optics in the Mando missile mod. Um,
Interesting thing, the helmet display unit is tethered to your UI scale, so if you go into your video options and change your UI scale from smaller to larger, it'll actually change the entire optic.
oh, sweet. Okay, yeah. I guess problem solved. Sweet. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I uh, I didn't have problems like reading all the numbers and stuff, but I also had the impression that it's rather small. But that's an awesome feature, and it's great that you have been able to, yeah, to clear that up right away.
It's funny because it actually introduced problems for us at the start because we didn't know about that. So Franz sent me the file and I had a larger UI and I looked at it and I thought, what's going on here? This stuff's not lined up correctly. It's not where it's telling me it's supposed to be. Franz, there's something broken here.
All right. Then he would like to see an option to change the airspeed and altitude in kilometers per hours, respectively meters altitude. Is there like any way you could implement some sort of, like in the options or whatever, or in the user config file, that it would be possible to switch to kilometers per hour instead of I think it's knots.
Well, the reason that we used feet and knots was because that's the way the aircraft works. It uses knots and feet in terms of altitude and speed. Generally, for example, as it was explained to me that we use knots because, well, that's a whole nautical term. It's more applicable to aerial operations. So, but in it's really actually just a couple of simple script lines that do a simple conversion process because by default it measures in metric. So we just make a little conversion process to make it run in knots or feet. So it'd be relatively simple to change those over if you wanted to metric or a different format of the imperial system or that kind of thing. The only reason that we have them stuck where they are now is because, well, that's the way the real aircraft works.
Okay, so it's just a thing.
Ooh, could add as an option to the flight page setup, maybe.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I mean, I like to say that nothing is impossible. I mean, we know that's not always true, but I think it's more of a thing to think about, well, let's try that and then see if that works. Or if that doesn't work in a certain way, let's find a different way to work in it. So changing a simple change to metric is certainly possible. It's not a hard or difficult change. You just have to make sure you have the right things put in there to hook into it and tell it, okay, switch over between those two.
Okay, but yeah, you decided to go with knots and feet because the real aircraft works that way. I'm not trying to convince you to do anything. I'm just rattling down the questions as I get them. But in my opinion, that's a fair answer. And if it's more realistic
Hey,
that way,
giving us ideas.
I'm entirely happy with it. The third question of Ali is he would like it. He would like it if the crosshair, how you like move the sort of the cursor around in the cockpit. He would like it better if that would be separated from the eye heads, as it is in the DCS 810, for example. I put some thought into that, and in my opinion, it's also more realistic that way because, as far as I know, the Apache pilots they have the eye heads thing like a display thing in front of their eye, attached to the helmet. And in the A10, you obviously have your head-up display in the front of the aircraft, so if you look around freely, the HUD doesn't move. But in the Apache, it does. Am I right here, or what is your impression?
You're correct. The monocle is part of the helmet, so when they move their eye, or their head, I should say, then it moves with them. That's part of
Exactly.
the basis of the targeting system as well, and the
Exactly.
and the optics.
Yeah. Also here, so it's realistic that way. Especially if you use track IR. It's on the one hand, it's really awesome, to be able to look around, have your information, and especially if you're controlling the gun with manual fire, that's pretty awesome. But I also gotta
But you gotta
say,
fight the mouse.
huh?
But you gotta fight the mouse.
I fly with joystick and all that. So
Ah,
I have joystick, throttle stick, pedals for flight controls, and I look around with track IR. But if I want to hit something, the cockpit, it's really hard to to move my head to point as accurate as I have to hit the buttons. And then sometimes I even pause the track IR and use the mouse to click on
Be
something. But while
advised,
flying,
fuel
that's pretty
is
messed up.
Well, I think that I really do have a theory of how that would work, where you have a separate control for the mouse to click on things while you're looking at something with a tracker. But, that's something that I'd really have to play around with to find out whether or not we can do it or not. I suspect that it is, but we really didn't look into it a whole lot, given that you're just trying to make something work as it is.
All right.
Cockpit interactivity actually came in rather late in the project, as did the moving map. I think those were the last two latest big features.
2. Disembark.
Okay. And yeah, in the end, it's for like realism, it's an awesome feature. I like it a lot, but you have also configured the whole thing that you have like shortcuts, with the custom user controls, as well as the scroll wheel thing. So depending on what multifunctional display, multi-purpose display you have activated, you have you have a different set of scroll options. So it's not really necessary to push any buttons in the cockpit if you don't want to. Is that correct?
That's almost correct, except for the engine startup. The engine startup still requires the knowing how to use the crosshair click. So, and that's only because that one came in real late.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
that was my fault. Sorry, everybody that had trouble with the startup with no audio feedback and whatnot. You can blame me for that one. Friends wasn't going to introduce it, and I pushed it. Push it in there. Put it in there. It's a really neat feature. Put it in there. Didn't even think about it.
All right. I just realized my prepared footage is over. I'm just gonna restart it, play it again from
No need.
scratch. That doesn't matter. I only had recorded about 45 minutes. So yeah, those were my questions plus the questions of this Ali Al-Shair. Now I'm gonna give the word to the viewers. Unfortunately, my chat got disconnected for some reason on Twitch. I still see the footage and the stream, but I don't see any updates on the chat.
Oh dear.
Do you
Well, I
guys
do.
do you guys see the questions and stuff or the
It's
comments?
clear to me at the moment.
Roger. I think I'm gonna refresh my stream. Um,
I
I
do know one guy was asking about a printable manual. As far as I know, we can't really do anything about that.
Yeah, I read something about that as well before. I mean, you have the online manual. I'm not sure. I guess it will be possible to print it somehow, but it's pretty long or
I
pretty
say.
pretty big. And if you got enough paper and enough ink, you can obviously print it.
Yeah, we're trying to go green.
Exactly. Preserve the environment. All right. Yeah. Now, the viewers out there, feel free to fire off your questions in the comment section. I still can't see them, so you guys, I know you in France, you will have to read them yourself and answer them. I'm just checking my Twitter.
And I'm kind of guessing it just tells me welcome to the chat room, so I'm assuming I've got a connection. For a while there, it wasn't letting me in.
Yeah, refreshing.
Yeah, I'm also refreshing. I see the stream, but I don't see the chat anymore.
Reconnecting in 5. Well, I can see viewers.
Yeah, it says I'm unable to connect to the stream.
Rockets.
Okay, I got a message on Twitter. Chat doesn't work. Great.
Well, drats.
Does anyone have a question? If you want, you can give me a shout out. I'm just gonna try to maintain Facebook as well and um, my YouTube inbox. So if you guys wanna ask a question, fire away anywhere because the Twitch chat room is apparently bugged.
40 seconds. Ouch.
Tried the third time now, it doesn't work. Yep, technical issues.
Yeah, because I'm also hearing a very big delay in the stream as well. It seems to be a semi-constant. I watch a few Twitch streams every now and then, and I notice people having difficulties fairly regularly.
Oh yeah? It was the first time now I had problems with the chat. I never had any issues with that.
Ah, Murphy's Law strikes again.
Exactly.
The first time I go there to watch you stream and help you out, things start to go weary, and then yeah, the voice chat and when your chats go down. Murphy, you're a bastard.
Yeah, I'm still not able to connect. I'm just checking Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. But if you don't have any questions, or if I can't receive them, I think we're slowly gonna
Trying to
come
think
Get
to
what
an
question.
end.
out of fuel.
Hmm.
And I mean, I'm gonna upload the stream to YouTube. And if you want Nodunit or Franze,
Magazine.
you can obviously check in there from time to
Magazine.
time. I'm sure people will ask questions, and I'm pretty sure the view count is going to be a lot higher in YouTube
Magazine.
than it was here tonight live. But if you would
Oh,
agree to
17.
maintain there and
Rockets.
answer some questions afterwards, that would be awesome.
Rockets.
Sure. Also, I'd like to say that
Rockets.
pretty soon I'm
Magazine.
hoping to release the source texture files so people can create whatever skins, paint jobs of their own.
All right, that sounds awesome as well. Yeah, if you got any more information you would like to pass on to the community, which I didn't ask the proper question for, feel free to fire away now. Stuff that is planned next to those textures.
More updates to try and fix issues that crop up and hopefully make the bird look a little bit better as... Oh wait, no. Someone had mentioned that the helicopter works and take on helicopters rearmed, which is where we'll most likely be going next. Well, Armor 3 is simmering. That'll give friends the opportunity to experiment with the picture-in-picture.
All right. Cool, yeah.
150 seconds.
Yeah, I'm trying for like the fifth time. Chat is totally bugged out. I haven't tried yet on the take on helicopters yet, but it would definitely be fun um, because there's one map I think it came with the Heinz expansion that is pretty huge. And
Oh, the take on helicopters maps in general are huge. Have you seen Seattle or Southeast Asia?
I think it's the Asian one, yeah. Yeah, Seattle is already big, but I think the Asian thing is even bigger.
Yeah, it's got less to load. It's mostly terrain. There are a few rivers and buildings and croppings of trees, but for the most part it's very not flat, but barren and mountainous. Not bad terrain. It's great if you want to have a huge scale. I think it'd actually be one of the few maps in the series where full-scale MLRS type artillery would not have the range to cover the whole map.
Yeah, that's possible. And there will make sense to pick or to load with some of those extra fuel tanks you guys have in your add-on.
Yeah, they'll be useful for more than just looks.
Exactly. Because in Pakistan or even Generous, you can fly a long time with
Be
your
advised.
standard
Out of
tanks.
fuel.
Yep. What was it? 1 hour or 2 hours, 43 minutes, something like that is the standard. The fuel tanks actually work right now, but you think you could total up to 8 hours or something with a full load.
Well, if
Okay.
you deploy all of the auxiliary tanks, including the internal 130-gallon auxiliary tank, you're looking at about a total of 10 hours of endurance.
Oh, sweet. This will be a nice mission setup, you know. Almost like the if you do the real 24 hours of Le Mans in a racing game, you could do something similar with the Apache.
Are there any racing games like that?
Yeah, I think in Gran Turismo you can actually play the 24-hour race in real time. I did it once as a teenager with a friend on a weekend, and like every other hour or so we like switched driver, just for fun. So we were driving in a circle for 24 hours. But you got to be
Nice.
nuts to
That's a
do
lot of
that.
patience.
Exactly.
Yeah. You have to lost your sanity a little bit there.
That's what you do as a teenager.
How many lefts would that be? Or rights?
A lot.
Magazine.
Okay.
Magazine.
Twitter.
Rockets. Rockets.
I got a question
Rockets.
by Gerald.
Magazine.
He is asking if there is a way to change the sensitivity of the controls for people playing with keyboards. Rocket firing is hard for him. I guess the aiming with aligning the chopper and stuff.
Ooh, ouch. All yours, friends.
Yeah, if you're using the keyboard strictly, it's going to be a lot more difficult. But I do think you can adjust the game's mouse sensitivity if that's what you use. I guess I can't really relate too much because I have a full joystick setup myself. So for the most part, I try to use that. But I've done some playing around with the mouse, and I don't know if it just means you have to learn how to really use it, how it works. I mean, so much of the aircraft, the way it handles is so different compared to the stock helicopters that it's kind of difficult to relate beyond a couple things here and there.
Very twitchy. I think you can also alter your mouse sensitivity in the Options Controls tab.
Yeah, you can definitely do that for the mouse as well for joystick controls if you use that. But I guess for keyboard it's not going to be possible. And as you said, I guess you just have to get used to how the helicopter handles. Um,
Oh yeah,
the problem there
even if
is,
you have a joystick. Sorry.
yeah, if you got a joystick, you can adjust it really, really details with those slide bar thingies. Although the thing is, if you change it there, just like for the Apache, and then if you switch back to a standard ARMA helicopter, it's kind of messed up then, Or if you change the mouse sensitivity for flying, and you leave the helicopter, you want to walk around and maybe play some infantry thing, you're probably gonna have to change it back because it's totally messed up for you. That's a bit unfortunate, but I guess you will have to create yourself a mission where you just focus on flying this Apache add-on and adjust your settings for that.
The only alternative for that would be to modify the mass of the aircraft, and that's all Franz as well.
Well, the mass as it is kind of reason why it's all twisty because the game doesn't. That's one of the kind of the failings. You asked earlier whether or not there are some things that just we really just can't change. Well, unfortunately, I guess I just realized that's probably is we don't have any way to change the sensitivity of helicopter handling and the configuration. That's all done through a kind of voodoo with the aircraft's mass. So you kind of have to try something here and there with the model itself rather than changing configuration parameters.
Okay, yeah, I understand. All
But
right.
as for controlling it with the keyboard, I've always found that it, for me, it's always worked well. Just use simple key taps and that kind of thing. Um, and I try not to use the mouse too much as it doesn't really feel right steering the helicopter. But when the few times that I do use the keyboard, I mean, it's just about making sure you don't over control it, which is actually, as it turns out, a common problem in helicopter operations.
Yeah, so you
Lovely oscillations.
you would just like tap the keys instead of holding them down like crazy, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for anyone who would fly with the W and S keys.
I can't really speak of experience because ever since I play flight sims or whatever, I use the joystick. By now I have like really decent flight gear, tracker, and the whole package, and I'm pretty happy with it. And I always hate it when I go on a multiplayer server and I hop in a chopper in the back of someone who's flying with keyboard because it almost makes me puke because it's so like
Mm.
staggy and all that. Yeah,
It's
I'm
like the AI's flying in a way.
even worse. It's worse than AI. It's horrible. I
Yeah,
don't like it, but go ahead.
joystick is Nah, man. Keep doing that. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Joystick is definitely the way to go. If I would definitely encourage anyone who wants to fly helicopters or planes to pick it up because it makes so much. It's just entirely different. It's a complete world's difference to have that incremental control versus either 0 or 100% control. It's just entirely different. And even with the mouse, you're constantly making corrections and slowly scooting it up so you keep the same momentum. Versus the joystick, you just hold it down and continue on exactly as you are.
Yeah, exactly. You can like really control the aircraft a lot smoother, and it just feels better. It feels
Next
like
move.
if you're like sitting in the helicopter
Magazine.
yourself. It's for the immersion. It's a lot better, and I guess you can fly. You can buy a not too expensive joystick for I don't know, maybe $100 or even less.
All depends on where you get it from. And the brand, of course.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I paid for mine like uh, I think it's got to be about $350 or so. But it's a force sensing thing, from Cytex or the high tech gear. And they got the pedals and track AR. So if you got the money and if you want to invest it, feel free to do so. It certainly adds to the immersion. It's a lot more fun. But it's not necessary to buy that kind of hardware. But just the joystick by itself um, does add to the immersion.
For the longest time, I think it was a Thrustmaster Afterburner, which was the primary joystick I used in Flashpoint and ARMA 1. So that one was a relatively cheap and affordable joystick that worked out pretty well, but it was also had a separate throttle, which was nice.
Hmm.
Target that truck at 1-2.
All right, checking out for some more questions.
Yeah, how much of a difference does it make with pedals as well?
Uh, well, what can I say? It feels more realistic. You almost get the feeling as if you're sitting in the cockpit. You have to bring almost your entire body into action. With the throttle on the left side, stick on the right, and pedals underneath the table. So you gotta move your arms and legs. So that's a fun feature, but um, yeah, it's not really necessary in my opinion. As I said before, if you got some extra dollars lying around the house, or if you want it for Christmas or your birthday, it's a cool thing to have, but it's not like just already having a joystick by itself is a huge step forward in my opinion compared to keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, because you also have that twist function.
Exactly.
Well, I played the old game. I'll choose Turbovic for years with just a twistable stick. So I think it's certainly possible to make it happen
No
with a
target.
twisty stick too.
Yeah, exactly. I played for years with a stick like that. I had a small, like throttle thing, glide a slider 0 to 100% on the side. So I used to fly like that. It worked absolutely well. But at some point, yeah, when I earned my own money,
Target that truck at
I figured,
1-2.
what do you want to earn money for if you don't spend it? So I bought that stuff for myself. I think it was for Christmas, and I've been using it for about 3 or 4 years now, and I'm still totally happy with it.
Nice. Sounds like it was a good investment. And nothing wrong with spoiling yourself on the holidays.
Exactly.
No
That's what they're
targets.
for, right?
Yeah,
Right?
sure. All right. Yeah, my chat on Twitch still tries to update, but not
Can't
successfully.
imagine too many questions are coming through.
Yeah, I just got one more
Magazine.
on Twitter. Still
Rockets.
Gerard, who asked about the sensitivity. He's writing. I've noticed if I map
Rockets.
two
Rockets.
keys for
Magazine.
increasing throttle, I can apply 150% of torque. Is that a glitch?
Target that. Unknown. At 1-2.
I'm
Enemy
not
AH-64.
sure
One click.
what he did there. Mapping two keys for increasing
Target
throttle.
that. Truck. At 1-2.
Do you have any
Hmm.
idea if that's a glitch or like?
Yeah,
I'll
there's
have to
a small
investigate.
glitch. A small glitch with the keyboard detecting. It tells you the right percentage of collective that you're pulling there. I'm not really sure what that is. Um,
Magazine.
it's ideally supposed to be on a
Magazine.
0 to 100% scale, but
Fire.
evidently it's only really working with throttle, and I'm not really sure why that is.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you either. I've never
Magazine.
tried that. But I guess it's better to just map one key for increasing throttle and then yeah, just like tap it
Fire.
depending on how much torque you want to apply.
Rockets.
Okay, so I think we're gonna come to an end here. You guys have
Fire.
anything else you want to share?
Fire.
No, not really. I'm kind of drawing a blank here.
Fire.
I'd like to ask everyone to keep an eye on the Bohemia or Armaholic forums for updates because we'll be updating it every other week or so.
Okay.
Or at least that seems to be the current trend.
Rockets. Rockets.
Yeah, I'm
Magazine.
sure people
And
will
if you
do
have
so.
if you
2.
have
Ready to
problems or
engage.
complaints or whatever, don't hesitate to say. I'm open to criticism. In fact, I welcome it because it helps you gonna improve. Probably opening the doors to a lot of grief there, but you know, hey, bring it.
Yeah, I guess a few more people are gonna keep pushing your buttons about the ARMA 3 release of this add-on.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be the never-ending question. Armor 3, Armor 3. Well, technically you can drop the add-on into it right now and it works.
Exactly. Except the annoying script errors, which
Oh, that's been
Manual
fixed
fire.
with 1.2.
okay, nice. All right. Yeah, thanks a lot for joining me tonight, Nodunit and Franze.
Yeah, it was nice being here. It was a fun time, at least. We got to hear a little bit more directly without having to think out our responses and thus being able to lie to you guys. So this time I think you pretty much got the truth from us.
Yeah, I had a great time talking to you guys. A lot of really interesting information. Sorry about the technical issues, as mentioned at the beginning, and you two already knew it. It's like a pilot project for me as well. I wasn't even sure if people could hear you over to on the stream because we were talking on TeamSpeak, but I guess we have all that solved. It was a great experience. Thanks a lot for joining. Thanks a lot for to you guys for creating the add-on and for answering my questions and the viewer questions tonight. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the future and to all the stuff that is going to be released from you two. Be that an update on this add-on right here, or maybe further away in the future something completely new.
Hmm, you never know.
All right.
That might be digital though. I'll probably always be pressing friends for the digital stuff because you don't usually see that taken advantage of when it comes to these kind of things.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I'm gonna stop broadcasting. As always, if you missed the beginning of the stream, you can rewatch the whole thing just in a few minutes. I'm also gonna upload it on YouTube. It's gonna be on there in maybe 1 or 2, well, maybe an hour. And you can, I guess, you can ask your questions on YouTube as well, and maybe not even or Franz will check out the upload there and um, respond to your questions and comments um, afterwards.
Yep, thanks for having us. Hope it was as fun for you as it was for us. No rehearsal whatsoever.
Okay, have a good one, and catch you guys later.
Take it easy.
As complex as we've got for ARMA 2.
Okay, yeah, Roger. All right, thanks a lot for this quick blast from the blast from the past. Yeah, I've never played like those longbow games. I guess yeah, I was almost too young. Operation Flashpoint was like released when I was 16 years old, and it was like the first game for me that I was allowed to play, you know, by my parents that had anything to do with shooting guys and stuff. But yeah, Flashpoint was a great thing, and I'm glad you guys picked up from there and released this add-on right now. So I guess you'll there are.
Yeah, they're saying they can't. Volume is faded.
All right, is it better now? I hope so. Yeah, it's really like that.
Thank you, Gerald Boso. Jared Boy Boso. People always picking these difficult to pronounce names.
Yeah, I hope it's better now. Um, yeah, I guess you already answered my second question, which was when did you decide to create this add-on?
So basically it was all, like I said, all about that, trying to capture the essence of the original Longbow games, a lot of simulations of the 90s, and trying to put those elements into Flashpoint. Well, things kind of stagnated for a while, but eventually
Be advised. Out
we
of
kind of,
fuel.
it took about 2 years before we made the initial release for Flashpoint. And during
Uh,
that time period, we kind of did a lot of learning of our own, kind of
Magazine.
stumbling about here and there because we neither of us really knew a whole lot about this
Magazine.
stuff at the time. So we kind of built up skills here and there and made something that worked. And I think for the original
Magazine.
Flashpoint, it was pretty good. But despite all that, we didn't really get all the things we
Rockets.
really wanted to do, things like the moving map displays or proper Hellfire operation.
Rockets.
But now we have a lot more
Rockets. Magazine.
capacity to do that in ARMA 2 with all the new commands and new scriptings. We were able to capture a lot of those things that we were never really able to fully realize in Flashpoint.
Yeah, just because the features were not available back then. Yeah.
nah, back then the digital displays had to be rotated, I believe it was.
Okay.
Yeah, for the original add-on in Flashpoint, all the pages for the multi-purpose displays, those were all rotated through an animation switch. They were not nearly because it was really almost about 10 years ago that I first started building the Apache, but that was for the original game, Operation Flashpoint. And I'd always been enamored with Longbow 2 and Longbow 1 and a lot of the simulations of the 90s. And, well, we were never going to get a sequel to those games because, there just wasn't any money in them anymore. So I kind of set out to try and see what I could do on my own using, at the time, the relatively freshly released Operation Flashpoint modding tools. So it was kind of, wasn't very good at the start, but it kind of evolved as time went on.
Roger that. I've been playing the series ever since Flashpoint as well. I haven't ever tried anything like modding, you know, but I can imagine that back then, even though there were options for modding, they were not as extended as they're right now. And apparently, yeah, this idea started a long time ago because Flashpoint was released in two
2001.
yeah 2001. That's a long time ago. All right, thanks a lot.
So yeah, it was at the time I really didn't have a whole lot of experience. I mean, I'd played with some other games like some Half-Life. I've tried some tools in there, but it wasn't until the relatively open nature of the Flashpoint modding tools that I was able really to make something that worked out. And so I don't really know if it's going through or not.
Yeah, it's working.
Alright, I think we're live. What's going on? So it's Maverick here, and welcome to the Developer Hangout with Nodunit and Franze, the creators of the really awesome AH-64D Apache Longbow add-on for ARMA 2. Welcome, guys.
Hey, glad to be here.
Please, viewers here on Twitch, let me know if you got the audio levels right. So if you hear those two guys, because quite frankly, it's the first time we're doing this here, and I'm not sure if you're able to hear them over TeamSpeak. So just give me a quick shout out in the comment section, and yeah, after that we can go.
Oh man,
We can kick off with the questions.
those old shadows are so awful.
Yeah, I'm having trouble following it entirely, but I'll stumble through it anyways.
Roger that.
If he has too much trouble, I'll just Skype him the message.
Copy that. Once more, guys, please, dear viewers, let me know in the comment section if you hear Nodunit and Franze all right or not.
Ooh, 9 viewers. I was expecting maybe 5 at most.
We'll see if the view count goes up. It might.
Not really expecting a huge turnout. I think most people are busy playing ARMA 3 or griping on the ARMA 3 forums or just not all that interested. Like, who do these guys think they are? So important now they got their own interview or something.
Running out of fuel.
Okay. Well, it is important to me, and I'm really glad you guys were able to join and agreed to this little project. Apparently, everyone can hear you all right, so I guess we're going to kick off. First of all, thanks a lot for creating this add-on. I've made a few videos on it, and already 1 or 2 live streams. Not Unity, we were like joining me and watching the Twitch feed, and you helped me out doing the gameplay, because yeah, the whole thing is not like a standard add-on for ARMA 2. It's really an extended one, and it's incredible what kind of work you guys put into this. And I'm really excited to learn more about the whole process and yeah, how you guys came up with this. So I'm just gonna fire out with the first question, and this will be please tell us a little bit about the add-on. You know, what is it, and what can you do with it?
Well, I guess we'd really have to start at the beginning for it,